Well, for these anglers today, it has been worth the wait. The first FishOMania heat was back in the spring. We have 16 of the country's top anglers here this afternoon. It's FishOMania 16 from Cudmore Fisheries here in Staffordshire. This is really where you want to be. You want to be at Cudmore Lakes because this is the event. £25,000, winner takes all. We have our experts, of course, in the studio. Our faces of fishing, Tommy Pickering and Keith Arthur. This is one of the best yet, isn't it?
I think it really is, yes. I think that every angler's drawn their peg and not one of them's gone, oh no, and not one of them's gone, yes, that's it. It's a very, very fair match.
Well, they've been arriving here over the last couple of hours at the lake this morning, but some of them have been coming for up to 6 weeks to fish the various pegs around the lake. What do they say? Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Well, these guys are absolutely prepared for this afternoon. They've got their families with them, they have their teams behind them as well. Comes down a little bit to talent, comes down to condition, it also comes down to position around the lake. The peg positions are very important. Keith, we've got a perfectly circular lake. Give us the significance of the pegs.
Well, what we've done this year, which we couldn't do last year for various reasons, is we've got each angler's in pairs. So there's a pair of anglers, then a spare peg either side. So they can either fish to their left to a lot of open water or to their right to a lot of open water. You can see here there's an aerator just there, and that's distributing water around the lake, and the flow's going around so they can fish with or against the flow. But the important bit is this bit here, the space between the anglers. There's a peg platform in each of those spaces, and the angler can fish as far as that platform. So there's a lot of vacant water for the angler, available to the anglers for them to catch fish from. There's also a rope next to 16 and another one next to 1 to stop those anglers casting into the big gap. Now there's a weigh-in every half an hour, a total of 10 weigh-ins during the afternoon, and whoever wins and has the top total catch at the end of that goes home with 25 grand. The man who catches the individual biggest fish goes home with £2,500.
Well, the £25,000 is what it's all about. The money's not bad, but this is also pride of place. It's very, very heavy, Keith. It's like a golden trophy, isn't it?
It's a magnificent trophy. It's unique. Every year is a different designer trophy. I think that slate came from Barry Hearn's roof. But it's the trophy, and Tommy will tell you this, 25 grand's great. Yeah. The trophy's everything.
Absolutely. The FishOMania title is everything. It really is.
Well, they're down there. They're all psyched up. This is the equivalent of coming out at Wembley or maybe the ring walk if you're a boxer. You know it's a major event in sport when the MC is a gentleman by the name of John McDonald.
Well, 16 competitors are ready. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's all in.
Well, here we go. Those nerves will be jangling. Not many of the anglers will have got much sleep last night. They brought their families. They've got a team of anglers behind them. Some of them have some very experienced bagmen who've been FishOMania themselves before. I suppose, Keith, what you're hoping to do is just bag an earlier fish, isn't it?
What you're hoping to do is everything goes right here. You'll see the anglers putting bait in their pots and shipping those poles out. If that pole jumps, the bait comes out where you don't want it. And oh no, you look around and there you see.
They're trying to mark the spot out. They're trying to say that's my spot where I'm going to feed all day, and they might pick 4 or 5 spots at the start. Halfway through they'll cut that down to 3, and at the end they'll probably have 2. But you always mark your spot. It's amazing how fish get used to coming in and homing into that spot when you've got regular food going through the whole time.
You can see there a flat spot in the water, and that's where Chris van der Vliet's fed probably some pellets, and the oil comes off the pellets and flattens the water.
Well, there is last year's winner, Mick Bolt, hoping to become the first man to win it back-to-back years, hoping to become the first man ever to win FishOMania twice. We've had 15 previous finals, nobody has ever won it twice. So this is confirmation of the pegs. Of course, they always say that peg 16 is the lucky one. Matt Hall is on there, but last night they were saying that 6, 7 and 8 were the pegs they favoured given the weather conditions. Mick Bull was fancied, but Mick injured himself with his back this morning, pushing his heavy equipment up the hill to peg number 5. This is the first fish we're going to see this afternoon. Who's that down there, Keith?
That's Adam Richards, I think. Yeah. Now Adam Richards can do no wrong at the moment. Adam Richards has won everything is possible to win. He's only a young lad, he's only 20, and what a bonus fish that is.
That was a barbel, yeah. That
As you
was
said, the barbel had grown up to £6. You were saying
up
last
to
night,
like
weren't
3
you?
kilos,
Yeah,
yeah.
we
So
could have an awful lot of fish here this afternoon. We could have an awful lot of fish caught. Could be exciting. During the course of the afternoon, we have 4 reporters out there in the peg positions. They're going to be getting up close and personal and getting to know the anglers during the course of the afternoon. Let's go lakeside first of all and join one of our correspondents down there. It is Patrick Davidson.
Well, all the indications are that this could be the closest FishOMania ever. One indication of that is the man behind me, 21-year-old student from Somerset, Andy Power. He's a real contender, though not too much known about him. The man there is quite a lot known about, Nathan Watson. This is his 3rd FishOMania. In his previous 2, he came 2nd, and in 2002, he won the entire competition. I think he was a little bit late to bed, got stuck at the bar, I believe, Nathan, but he certainly a real contender. When the bookies did the draw, they had him at 6-1. He's also a keen boxer, keen kickboxer. The 3, we've already had a catch here. Dave Roberts on 3, and he's had success at Cudmore before. He won the qualifier here to get for the very first time to FishOMania, and Dave's already struck. He's got one in the bag. Next to him, Mark Stevens, and Mark's got an awful lot of experience with him. Les Thompson is his bank runner, and Les competed here last year. So it's over to peg 5 where we've got Alec.
And I'm smiling because I'm the man who got all the cherries off the top of the cake. We've got some great anglers on these pegs, and we start on peg 5. There's no greater at the moment than Mick Bull, the winner from last year. And the incredible thing is he picked the same peg that he won FishOMania 15 from last year. So that's got to be a good omen for him. And on 6, Chris van der Vliet from Essex. He's absolutely cock-a-hoop at having taken peg number 6. And let me just explain why. If you look over at the water, you can see the ripples. That's the wind channeling down this side. And the theory goes that the fish go along with the wind. So that's good news for him. And it's also good news for the man at peg number 7, who's Ed Warren, 30-year-old chef from Staffordshire. He was a little bit worried about his nerves, but I just had a word with him, and he says that they've now settled down, and he's having a great season so far. So he's back to his usual confident self. And then finally, but not least, on peg number 8, it's Pete Goodwin, who's just happy to be here. He couldn't believe he'd even qualified. And he says if he just angles well today, if he just fishes well and has fun, he'll have a good day and he'll be happy. But, you know, looking at the conditions, you may go away from here with a little bit more than just memories. OK, let's go over to peg 9 and Andy Ford.
Thank you very much, Alec. As you say, peg 9. Just behind me is Adam Richards. Now, you've already seen Adam's got off to an absolute flyer. It's real young gun territory over here. We've got Adam, who's just 20 years old, reigning Camazan Matchman of the Year. What a fantastic title that is in fishing. It won't mean a lot to you if you're not a match angler, but let me tell you, that really is a big honour. He's got his entire family behind him. His dad, Steve, is sitting behind him, and he's actually more nervous than Adam, I've got to tell you. Now, moving along here, we've got 19-year-old Tony Curd, who's from London. Tony may only be 19, as I mentioned, but really he is one of the most outstanding young up-and-coming anglers in the country. So a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old, and this really is a cracking little section here. So we'll find out a little bit more about Tony later on. His whole family are here, his dad, his mum and his young brother. Now just moving down a little bit of a long walk actually, roving over here to peg 11, where we've got Paul Christie. Now, Paul, this is a really big day for him, but not as big as the one he had last week, probably. Paul got married. His wife's Debbie is sitting up on the bank behind. Paul qualified the first time he'd ever fished a FishOMania qualifier. Paul qualified. He's 36-year-old builder, lives near Doncaster. And I can see he's fishing the pole here. He's waiting for his first fish of the day. Now, a little bit of history in FishOMania this year. On peg 13, we've got Tony Robertson. Now, Tony is the first ever wheelchair user to qualify for a FishOMania final. You can see Tony is sitting there. He's fishing the tip. He's a specialist on the bomb. He's a great angler, and he's really hoping for a flying start here. So we'll see how he gets on. Let's move over to Ali on peg 13.
Thanks very much indeed, Andy. Well, first up on peg 13 here, unlucky for some, we've got Dave Swain. But Dave holds the unenviable record of having been in 5 finals before now, but never having won one. Next up on peg 14, we've got Rob Wooten. Now, Rob's one of the fresh-faced youngsters here. He's never been in the final before, but eventually, after many years of trying, he's beaten off the stiff competition. Of course, as the lads in the studio were saying there, 2,080 competitors trying to make this final 16, so Rob's eventually done it. Then on peg 15, we've got Mark Tullett. Now, Mark is off on his holidays tomorrow. He's going to Cornwall, so he's hoping to be taking with him £25,000 worth of spending money. He's got lots of support here, as you can see, banksides, including the support of his 7-year-old son, Jack, who he says he wants to win the competition for. Then last, but by no means least, on peg 16, we've got Matt Hall. Now, on peg 16, that's reportedly one of the favourable pegs to have in terms of where the fish lie. So Matt's absolutely delighted at having got that peg. He is a winner. He won back in 2003 when the final took place in Doncaster. But last year here at Cudmore Fisheries, he came 15th, so second from bottom. He's certainly hoping that he can make his peg work for him this year in FishOMania 2009.
15.
Thank you very much, Patrick, Alec, Andy and Ali will be keeping us up to date with what's going on. Of course, we have the weigh-in every 30 minutes. There could be a bit of activity when we have the first weigh-in. Down there on peg 1, one of the end pegs, Andy Power, our student, one of our younger competitors, 21 years of age, has got his first, well, hopefully he'll get the fish in the net. Not the biggest, but he's off the mark.
You wouldn't like it on your nose for a walk. He's made a good job of netting it as well. Yeah. He's got that quick, and I'll tell you, there are poles and rods bending all over the lake.
There is, and there's certainly bigger fish than last year. You can tell where they're playing them already, and there's quite a few fish being caught. It looks like a good start, and it just does it. Matt's playing one at the moment, and Ladder side is just playing one. It's great start.
Big crowds gathering here, but those fishermen are in the zone. Down by the peg positions 14, 15 and 16, Keith, there's been an awful lot of activity so far.
There's Matt Hall with a fish. He was playing this, I think it's the same fish. And it looks like a decent fish as well. He wants to keep it out of those weeds.
For the uninitiated out there, obviously we've got the expert anglers that will be watching this afternoon, but people are just, maybe they're dipping their toe in the water, so to speak, for the first time. What kind of fish do we have out there? What is that?
That's a barbel.
That's a big
yeah.
It's a big fish. That.
That's a big lad. That's kilo and a half, Tom?
Yeah, at least, yeah, maybe even nearly 2 kilo.
This is Adam Richards, is it? On peg 9, who's 21 years of age. He's a student, one, yeah. A very promising young angler, matchman of the year.
That's a good fish, that's 3 kilos, that. That's a good fish, that.
Be, yeah.
And he's got that big barblet net as well. He's had a terrific start. He's a great angler. I didn't realise well last night he was only 20, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he comes from my area, but I didn't realise he was only 20.
He's had a stellar year.
Unbelievable.
A stellar year.
For a 20-year-old, he's a cool customer as well. And
over on peg 5, Keith, Mick Bolt, our reigning champion. He is struggling. The odds are against him because he's suffering with a very, very bad back, but maybe his talent will show through.
I'll tell you what he might do today, because he's hurt his back. We might see him fish bomb through the match instead of picking the pole up. He might just feed a short line and fish a bomb most of the match. It'd be quite interesting.
Young Tony Curd, he's a lovely lad, you know. He challenged me to a match on tight lines when he was about 14, and I only just beat him by 6 ounces. You know, I'll let him get close.
Well, yeah.
He's an excellent angler, and Tony's bank runner today is Darren Davis.
Is it
and
really?
Darren's fished for England.
Yeah,
and Darren started his match career fishing with me.
You did, that's right. And
he was known as my apprentice, and Tony's his apprentice.
Unbelievable, that's good, that.
Carp. Another lovely carp.
We've seen more carp caught already than we did in the whole of the match last year.
Tony's not even 20.
We've got 1 or 2 youngsters, haven't we?
Only 19.
Tony's 19 years of age. We have an age range today, by the way, of the youngest Tony, who's 19, and we go all the way up to 51 years of age. Is it Swaney? 32 years is the spread of ages on the anglers this afternoon. Down on peg 16, there is Matt Hall, his 4th final winner in 2003, who's had an excellent afternoon so far. And we're very, very close to the weight. He'll want to get that in there. He'll want to get a good weight on the board. This is a skill as well, isn't it? Not letting that fish slip and getting it in just in time. That could be very important when we have the final weigh-in.
Absolutely, and there goes the first klaxon. That means it's time for the first weigh-in, one every half an hour. Let's get down to Lakeside and see how last year's champion's getting on.
So we're on peg 5 with Mick Bull. He's pulled in 2 fish so far. And Darryl, our steward here, is going to put them in the weigh net. Always ever so gently. Make sure there's no harm to the fish. They of course flop out onto this mat that they bounce around on to protect them from the gravel and the hard ground. And this one's so big, it's actually stuck in the net. There we go. We get a close-up of that. That is an enormous mirror carp. And if we can get it up on the scales, let me just come round. I'll hold that for you there. We hook it on, tell me what it weighs. In your own time.
3 kilos, 950.
Almost 4 kilos on that one. Well done, Mick Ball.
Okay, here we are over on peg 9, and I've got to say Adam Richards has had a fabulous start. He's got 3 really nice fish in the net here. Really interested to see what one of them in particular weighs, because it was quite a good fish. Adam's fishing little tiny cubes of meat in a swim feed. I'm sure Keith will tell you all about that in a second. There's first carp. Lovely fully scaled fish. Let's just see if we can get round to see the scales there. There's a bigger one in the keep now. So what do you reckon that one goes, Bob?
That's 2 kilos. 2 kilos 520.
2 kilos 520. So in old money, that's sort of £4-ish. I think that's the bigger of the two, actually, although there is a nice mirror carp in the net too. Matt, let's just have a little look in there. You see 3 carp really early on, and I've got to say, Adam's casting. He's casting his feeder right in tight to the reeds, and really accurate stuff. There you go. Look at that, 2 cracking fish, and they're in lovely condition too. Bob pops them on the scales there.
Kilos 120.
4 kilos 120. So 3 fish. Bob, can you do some maths for me? How much is that? Sandra? So that's 6 kilos 640 for Adam Richards. 6 kilos 640.
Well, over there on peg 1, Andy Power has come all the way from Somerset. Our 21-year-old student is having a good start to the afternoon. It's all about being studious, keeping your nerve, not making any mistakes, not losing a fish, Keith.
Well, we've seen him catch one fish on the feeder, and on the ledge, maybe bomb or a feeder, I couldn't see. This is a fish on the pole. That's probably a barbel, I would think, the way it's going. Yeah, it's a barbel.
Yeah.
There's a good fish for Matt Hall as well. That's another barbel. Now that one's already in the bag for the next weigh-in. So let's see what happened on the first weigh-in. Adam Richards taking a flying start, catching fish on the feeder across, and Mick Ball looks like he might be defending his crown very well. Just one angler not to catch a fish, the tardy Nathan Watson, but everybody else is already on the scoreboard. Chris van der Vliet must be struggling. He thought he'd win from that peg.
A lot of interested anglers, amateur anglers here this afternoon, picking up tips. There'll be a sign at home just telling everyone that they've gone fishing.
Welcome back to FishOMania 16, and there's the man who's got off to the best start so far. Young Adam Richards, currently in first place after the first of our 10 weigh-ins.
Matt Hall, winner 2003, down there on peg 16.
It's a good
The
skimmer,
number
that.
16 has been lucky over the years, proving that again.
It's a good skimmer.
Good skimmer, and I think as well, because of the way this place fishes, the lads have been telling me there's lots more skimmers this year, and they're £1 and £1.50 a piece.
Well, I was just going to say, you talk about the barbel growing up.
Absolutely.
That's much bigger than
Much
they were.
bigger.
They were 10 ounce last year.
Well, over on the other side of the lake, Andy Bagging Machine Power,
Got
as he
another
likes
one.
to be known, and he's living up to his name.
Another carp. It's a tench.
Tim, I've
tench.
got it.
Let me get my glasses on.
You need those crystal glasses they're fishing for on the celebrity
Television's
event.
not big enough.
Keith and Tommy seem to be arguing about which fish is which. Let's educate them. Let's meet the fish.
Oh, they won't be caught. And there goes the second hooter of the afternoon to signal another weigh-in. So let's join Ali Douglas to see what's happening at Lakeside. First, at peg 16.
Matt Hall here, who's having a fantastic start. Matt, how are you getting on, Matt? You feeling good?
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. It's a good start. It's a good barbel here, and I've managed to catch barbel from the off, so I'm quietly confident that I'll be catching them, steadily throughout the day.
Great stuff. Thanks very much indeed. Let me just run up and find out what this weighs in at. What have we got there?
Five kilos 180. 5 kilos 180.
Pretty impressive. Thanks very much indeed. Back to you.
Thanks, Ali.
Fish on now.
Yeah. Well, they're winding up playing one. Yeah.
Well, as you can see around the various pegs this afternoon, they have worked on the reeds here. They let it all grow. It's a beautiful scene at Cudmore. And they've been environmentally friendly when it comes to cutting some of the reeds and some of the grass back. Let's go to Mark Dexter, who'll explain all.
Well, there are a host of logistical problems organising a major event like this, but some of them are slightly weirder than others, particularly the one that we've got over here. It's an animal problem, a goat called Barbarella, and here's the man who's going to have to try and sort out the problem. Vic, how are you going to get the goat off the island in the middle?
Well, hopefully the kids are going to chase the goat round, and we're going to try and get it into its hut, and then we'll put the rope on it, and hopefully she'll go on the boat.
What's she doing on there anyway?
She's just keeping the vegetation down, so we haven't got to keep trimming it as much as we have to do.
And she does a pretty good job then, yeah?
Yeah, she's doing a good job, yeah.
OK, well, best of luck with the task. I know you've got a lasso with you, and guys, take it away. How was that then, Vic? Did it go better than you expected?
Yeah, apart from somebody just nearly pushed me in over there.
What's going to happen to Barbarella over the next couple of days then?
I'm going to go up the back here, out of the way.
And she's safe and sound?
Yeah.
Barbarella, star of the show. That's where she normally sits. Of course, apparently, she doesn't like cameramen. The cameraman had to go there, so Barbarella, whose favourite singer, by the way, is Billy Goat Spears.
Oh,
dear. She's been shunted off into the distance. She's got her own little tent, but she's enjoying the solitude away from the crowds.
Well, Barbarella's not a feature on our leaderboard, but the leaderboard looks like this. Matt Hall leapt into the lead. Adam Richards slowed down in that last 30 minutes. And no significant moves. And there we see still Nathan Watson struggling to catch. But everybody else is still putting a fish or two into the net. Adam Richards with another fish.
Down on peg 9, Adam Richards.
We saw him lose a fish just now, and then we saw him catch a tench. That looks like another tench.
Another tench, yeah, it is, yeah.
And then we also saw he missed a bite, or we thought he missed a bite, but Tommy noticed his hook was missing. So he'd got smashed off by a fish. I think that's Ed Warren with what looks like a decent, yes, it is a decent skimmer. Now, he won't really want to be catching those. I know it's something in his net, but he'd prefer to be catching barbel. And that is what Matt Hall is doing a very good job of. He's got a fish on at the moment. I don't know what it is, but he is wired for sound. He can hear what we're saying, and hopefully he can hear us and tell us what he's attached to there. Is it a good fish, Matt?
Well, it looks, it's a properly hooked barbel, this one, I'm sure, pretty sure. Usually they jag around quite a lot, and this one's doing that, so I think it's probably a 3-pound barbel. Looking at it.
They've certainly grown up a bit, Matt, haven't they?
No, they're brilliant fish, Keith. You know, anybody that says that commercial fisheries and barbel don't mix, they just don't know what they're talking about. they're brilliant fish. They feed all the time, you know, they're aggressive, and you can give them a bit, and they fight like mad, and they build weight, and that's everything that match anglers want, really.
And they're in immaculate condition as well.
Immaculate. I've not seen one with a mark on it at all.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And you've had plenty to look at.
I think it's about 9 now, I've had something like that.
I got told off last year for talking while they were catching.
No, you're all right. You have to shout, lad, for this one to hear you.
It's a good fish, that one, man.
Yeah, it's all right, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Top
Beauty.
Well done, mate, well done.
Well done. Man who said he was a wreck the first year when you were at FishOMania.
That's right, yeah.
Calmness personified, talks us through it. Talks a good game, plays a good game. Well done, Matt Hall.
Cheers, mate.
Well done,
Matt,
mate.
thanks very much for that masterclass. Next time we come to you, expect to catch another fish live as well. Thank you very much. Right, let's go elsewhere on the lake to our 2006 champion, Neil Machin. Sadly not a finalist this year. But Neil, you're going to talk us through the change of tactics through the anglers.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, early on this morning, well, the first thing this afternoon, Adam Richards has been catching well on the method feeder, so I thought it was a good idea to just demonstrate how the method feeder works. Basically, one of the most important things with the method feeder is a really, really sharp hook. This is a size 16's 911 Kamasan hook. On this, I've got 2 dead maggots for hook bait. It doesn't really matter what you use for hook bait half the time. What actually happens is the fish suck the bait in off the feeder, and then as they suck the ground bait in, they just hook themselves against that hook. Dead maggots is just one of my personal favourites. That's what I'm using today. Adam could be using the same sort of thing, or meat or a bit of corn, something like that.
Dead maggots don't wriggle out the ball, Neil, do
no,
they?
That's right.
No,
it's much better to use dead ones than live ones, Keith. All I've done with them is just rubbed them between my hands for a few seconds just to kill them. I think it's a little bit more humane than a bit of boiling water on them. Right, there you go. Just a bit. We've put the maggots in the bottom there, and then we've put the ground bait over the top. Press the feeder into the mould, turn it over, little waggle, and that drops out. Now you can see there the bait's on the top. And what I prefer to do is to cover that bait over. So a little bit more ground bait in the mould, back in there, another press, little waggle again, and it's all covered, and that's ready for casting in. And what I'm going to do is just drop this into a tank that's behind me, so you can see how that works in the water.
The great thing is with a mould, Neil, is that you get exactly the same size and weight of bait every cast, so you can drop it in the same hole.
Exactly, that's right. That is the perfect description of it, Keith, to be honest. Here we go, we're going to drop this in, and you'll see it go down. The beauty of it is it's got the weight on the bottom, so it lands the right way up every time, so that all that bait is on the top. And you can see there as it's breaking down, that's at the bottom, breaking down. I don't know if you can see from that camera, that you can just see it. The tip of a maggot sticking out there.
It's starting to spread out already.
It's starting to spread out, that's right. What you don't want to do is for that feeder to hit the water and the ground bait to come off straight away. You need the feeder to hit the bottom and it still all be intact.
Watch those reeds behind you, Neil. There's a few fish creeping out for that.
Is there? I've had a couple on it this afternoon.
Remember all them hours and hours we used to making the mould in his hands?
Oh, I know, yeah.
And we spent hours getting it perfect like that. So you had to have your hand in a different way so you could actually mould it around the feeder. And them moulds are just awesome.
The days have gone now. Them old days have gone, Tom.
You can't fish without a mould now.
You can't, no.
It's incredible.
You
It's
just
just
got to
so
have them in
easy.
your box. Yeah, that's right. That's right. You can see there, that's almost broke down now. The bait's still just tucked inside. And what had happened there is the fish would swim along, The bait's all softened up now because the water's absorbed into that ground bait. The fish had come along. You can't see from that side, but the bait's just come out now. The maggots, it suck all that ground bait into its mouth, suck those maggots in on that hook itself against the weight of the feeder, and just swim away. Hooked. Fish on.
Great stuff.
Neil, thanks very much for joining us. We thought he'd brought his goldfish and his exotic fish when we saw the tank by the lake earlier today. Right, let's get back to the action. Down to peg 6. Big Chris van der Vliet. A mechanic. Gorgeous Chris, as he likes to be known.
Especially by himself.
He says that every morning when he looks in the mirror. His favourite fish? Mirror carp.
Yay!
Adam Richards, and just as the hooter goes, he's got a fish in the net as well.
He's still on the tip too. That's a decent carp. I would have thought he'd have wanted to have been on the pole by now. But we've got an opportunity to go down to Lakeside to see exactly how he's faring and why he's still on the tip.
Okay, here we are on peg 9 in. Matt, away you go with the next weigh. Adam's had a little bit of a quiet time, but in the last 20 minutes or so, he's started to pick up fish. Now, the strange thing is there don't seem to be the number of barbel in this area of the lake that are being caught elsewhere. But as you can see from that lot, he's got 2 nice tench in there. And a couple of minutes ago, quite a nice carp. So, Bob, where's that going? 3 kilos, somewhere around there?
Around a 3 kilo mark.
It's gone past 3 kilos. So that's a good sign for Adam. There you go, almost bang on 3 kilo.
It's only because I'm holding it at the minute. Keep still.
They won't keep still.
3 kilos and 20.
3 kilos and 20, so that's a pretty good start, a pretty good comeback rather for Adam. I'm just going to pop those in the keep net and away we go.
Matt Hall here at peg 16 was hoping that it was going to be a lucky peg for him. Luck and talent, I would imagine, and he's had a good 3 or 4 since the last weigh-in, so we're just about to get the weigh-in done, I think. Now he's leading by just over 2 kilos from second place. Let's see how that's going to change with this weigh-in. How's it looking, David?
It's looking good again. 3 kilos 100. 3 kilos 100.
Wow, pretty impressive. Matt did say that peg 16 was, I don't know if it's all about luck, but he did say that he was pretty confident that this was a good peg to get, and he's certainly showing it to be. So let's hope that that will continue to work in his favour.
Lots and lots of fish have been caught this afternoon.
Absolutely.
It's what it is. It's a better match because we're getting carp, bream, tench, barbel. We're getting the right mixture of fish, which is making it a better match.
Decent bream there for Ed Borren.
Yeah. I mean, they're good fish, them.
Yeah.
Just keep putting them in your net and keep building it up for 3 hours before you make your play.
Well, Tom, they might be good fish, but they haven't got him on the first page of the leaderboard. Andy Power's the one who's made a little move. Mick Bull creeping back up. And there we see Ed Borren down in 11th place. Those skimmers aren't really what he wants. Nathan Watson at last has caught a fish.
Just over a kilo lead. 2-horse race at the moment in FishOMania 16 here at Cudmore this afternoon.
Welcome back to FishOMania, where Matt Hall has the lead after 3 weigh-ins, but very close to him on peg 9. Adam Richards is just a kilo behind, and that's a decent fish. That's a tench, still on the tip.
He's fishing a meat feeder and not a method because he's putting other fish in the net as well, i.e. tench, crucians, skimmers. Every so often he'll get a carp, and that's what's keeping his in contention. Fishing a good match. I didn't realise they were going to do that.
I think this is peg 5. This is Mick Bull, who won it in 2008, who's had a slow start, but as we said before, you can never, ever rule bully out. Let's steady ourselves down to peg 15. Mark Tullett, saying that he's realising his dream to fish in the final of FishOMania today. Tony Kurt, youngest competitor in FishOMania 16, just 19 years of age. He's been fishing since he was 6. Very talented young angler. The hooter has gone for our next weigh-in. It gets gripping when we find out just how much the anglers have in the bag. Let's get back down to Lakeside and Patrick.
Well, we've had a very quiet half an hour on this part of the lake. Andy Power is our our leading light, really. 3 fish, I believe, this half an hour, and we're just going to get them weighed now. The 3 other nets, Mark Stevens, Dave Roberts and Nathan Watson, all empty, so this will be our only weigh-in this half an hour. We've got a sort of barbel in there, and maybe a couple of skimmers. Here we go.
Eggs 11 and 12, 0.
1 kilo 280. 1 kilo 280.
1 kilo 280. Andy Power still in contention.
Mike Tullett's doing incredibly well, actually. He's had a pretty busy kind of 20 minutes. Let's just get this latest catch out from the last half hour and see how he's fared. Certainly been a lot busier over the last half hour. Looks like there are a fair few there as well. Let's just see what comes in at.
That big one first. It's nowhere near 2.5 kilos, Paul. Put them in. Let's put them in. I don't think any of those are near 2.5 kilos. No, they're not. Tension there as well. Right. Wait. Three kilos 730. 3730.
Well, that's quite impressive. Mike Tullett he's had a very, very quiet start, but over the last half hour or so, he's had a much busier time of it.
Angling's equivalent to Edward Scissorhands. Gets himself up to 4th place. And some big fish in his peg by the looks of it. Tony Kurd and Chris Vanderfleet now make it onto the first page of Leaderboard as well. Matt Hall still in front. And at last, a decent fish for Dave Swain. My charity bet. Come on, Swainy.
Well, let's go back down to the Lakeside. Our first ever wheelchair competitor is just below us, actually, down there on peg 12. He's not had a great start so far, but he's a tough competitor. Tony Robertson, he's going to talk to Andy Ford.
Tony, seems a bit slow over here. What's been going on?
Well, I've had one tench, missed another proper bait, and then I've had a small carp and then it come off. I can't get a bite now.
So is it it's not working the way it was working for you in practice, because you caught rakes of fish during the week, didn't you?
Yeah, but 3 or 4 pegs further down to me right, which seemed to be, more consistent, a better area. Adam's on it at the moment, he's catching on it at the moment. But I don't know, I'm just getting silly liners. I think a lot of small fish, skimmers, but fish and meat, so I want to stick at it, you know what I mean? They either come or they don't, so I'll just see what happens.
I've got to ask you, I mean, you're first person in a wheelchair ever to make it to the final. Yeah. What does it mean to you to be here?
Well, just the same as any other angler, really. Fair enough I'm in a chair, but I'm probably as happy as the rest of the lads who are here, to be honest with you.
What are the sort of unique difficulties that you face, though, Tony, fishing an event like this and the other matches that you go to? I mean, you must have to work damn hard to get to your peg for a start sometimes.
Well, liner again. I'm a bit limited to what venues I can fish to qualify in the first place. Lucky enough, woodlands I can draw from 130 pegs, but there's not many, so I've really got to take my chance while I can. But like on here, I've sat the side because I couldn't see over the top of the bulrushes. But you just do what you can, don't you?
Well, you got 100% record in these qualifiers. You've only fished the one, haven't you?
That couldn't be much better, really, could it?
Well, I'm sure the fish will turn up at some point.
I just need 100% one in one of these. This is the one you want 100% in.
That's only a 16 peg knock-up. What's wrong with you?
Well, so they say.
Best of luck, mate.
Okay, then.
This is Andy the Power on peg 1. Young man from Somerset, a student. The bagging machine, who got off to a good start. It's got a little quiet recently, but the youngster is doing a bit of catching up.
It's the only one in that area to be catching them. And as Tommy said, what do we know about fishing? We're talking about the people on 16 and 15 catching out of the wind, and we're saying it's because they're out of the wind, but 2 and 3 are struggling, and they're in exactly the same type of water. And there's Bully with a very small fish.
This is Matt Hall on peg 16. Did fancy his chances. He was so calm and so confident in the build-up to that, and you look at where he's caught the fish, and there is that consistency.
Far more consistent. He's fighting another fish right now as well.
If that goes all the way through, it's going to be hard to beat. If he keeps that going all the way through, it's going to be very, very difficult to beat.
What was weird, the other day, Matt Hall fished on where peg 6, where Chris van der Vliet is. Chris van der Vliet fished on peg 16, where Matt Hall is, and they both had 42 barbel.
Is that right, 42?
It's in the net, it's in the bag. This is last year's champion, 2008 winner, Mick Bull, who's beginning to catch a few fish. He's going through the pain barrier. He was a little worried this morning that he may not be able to fish to his best abilities because he has a terrible back injury that he picked up lumping his gear up to peg 5. But he's going through the pain barrier.
I think he would have struggled if he'd have had to fish a long pole, and I think he's set his stall out accordingly. He's fed down the edge, ignored the long pole line. He'll either fish the bomb on that line or stick on the feeder or the bomb how he's fishing now, and then he'll fish down the edge later on. Now this is very interesting because Mark Tullett is hooked into a very, very big fish, and I wouldn't mind having a little wager now that this is the biggest fish of the match. Even if there's some more big fish caught, this one could win it. It's a proper fish.
It looks a big fish, didn't it?
I mean, the significance is, Tommy, £2,500 for the biggest fish of the
Absolutely.
match.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
well done, mate. That's awesome. What's that, Keith? 4 kilo? Oh, it's bigger.
Oh, I reckon that's 5
Oh,
and a half kilo, Tom, I reckon
5 kilo, that.
That's a proper old lump. A nasty custard.
Proper old lump.
Them, yeah.
That fishing term.
That is.
We actually saw him hook that fish and it nearly topped on the island. It was that far as elastic.
It doubled his elastic, took it right across.
It was incredible how far it went, that.
Caught you all right. He took his time as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he did everything
He brought
perfect.
it in.
No problem. And there it is. Maybe £2,500 in it's for it.
Yeah. It's a big common carp, and even if it's not worth £2,500, it's certainly going to push him up the leaderboard. And let's see how he's getting on. He's the first to be weighed in.
I tell you what, this is going to call for some heavy leg work to get this one over because it's a biggie. Putting up a bit of a fight as well. Okay, here it comes. This is the moment of telling. We'll see what Dave has to say on it. Now we're going to do a main weigh-in first of all, aren't we? And then do the big fish weigh-in. 2 fish in there, one of them sizably bigger than the other. Let's find out now what it comes in at, Dave, when you go.
So the full weigh is 5 kilos 430. 5 kilos 430.
That's for the full weigh-in. Now that other one is something of a tiddler next to that big fish contender there who always just leaps out of the net. So let's do the big fish weigh-in now and find out where that stands.
Five. 4 kilos 620.
It's got to be a contender, David, isn't it?
Certainly is. Biggest fish to date, I think, in the match, yes.
Pretty impressive. So we'll just have to see what happens. The rain's just starting. We'll see how that affects conditions.
So we're on peg 5 with Mick Bull, the defending champion, aiming to become the first person ever to win this twice. Currently in 6th place, and he's got a couple of big uns there. We've had some disappointing catches today, but this one looks okay. Very average-sized carps, and we've got a weight of about 2 kilos 6, I think it is. 2 kilos. 2 kilos 680 for Mick Bull on peg 5. We'll see if that takes him up the leaderboard a little.
Well, here we are now at the league leader spot of peg 16 at the leaderboard spot with Matt Hall. Let's see what this catch comes in at here then.
4 barbel and a skimmer in there.
So David's just going to put them on the scale to see where this weigh-in comes in at, and it is...
Good weight. 4 kilos and 90. 4 kilos and 90 grams.
That is pretty impressive, and I would think that's done his chances of staying top of the leaderboard absolutely no harm at all. We'll do a quick sum and come straight back to you.
Right, down to peg 10. Tony Kern, our youngest competitor.
I'll tell you something, the youngsters have impressed me on this event this year. You know, for 19, 20 and 21, they're quite mature, and I'm quite impressed with how they handled the occasion and the pressure and everything.
See, one of the problems is, Rob, when you hook a fish other than in the mouth, you can't steer it. The fish can go where it wants, and when it's hooked in the tail, that's the worst place, because it just keeps swimming away, swimming away, swimming away. And then you've got to get the net right up in front of it to net it, and you're netting the heavy end, not the light end. So it's much more difficult with a foul hook fish. They count because you don't foul hook them deliberately. If anybody foul hooks a fish deliberately, it doesn't count because they're cheating. But a fish accidentally brushes through the line, and it takes an enormous amount of skill to land it. It's nearly in that net.
That's it. He's got
Well done, Tony. Oh no!
Oh, come on, Tony.
See what I
Take
mean
your
about?
time.
See what I mean
It's
about
very
the wrong
difficult.
end?
Yeah.
You see what I mean about the wrong end? It's much harder to net that fish than if it was in the mouth. And that's it. Lift, 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 lift. No.
You've actually got to net it as it's coming towards you.
Yeah.
As soon as it feels that net, it just goes away again.
His problem is as well, Tom, there's a
He's
lot
got
of
it.
strength involved.
Well done.
That's it. Well done, Tony Curd.
They say
Well done,
patience is
Tony.
a virtue. A virtuous catch.
A good lad.
Yeah, it's £8, isn't it?
Yeah, that is as well.
3.5, 4 kilos.
At the moment we have a runaway leader in Matt Hall, but things are changing as the conditions change and the afternoon advances. Here is Matt down on peg 16, adding to his total.
Slowly going away, keep throwing a fish in the net. Remember what we said, if he keeps that Manhattan that all the way through, it'll be very difficult to beat. The other competitors will be hoping that that drops, but he's not letting it drop at the moment. He's fishing a really nice steady match.
And there we see the impact that Mark Tulloch's carp has made into second place. Quite a long way behind Matt Hall, but there is quite a long way to go. Adam Richards still up there in the mix as well. And Dave Swain nearly in the top half, if only, if only. That's a big fish Dave Swain's got there. That is
That's
a
a
huge
cracker,
fish.
isn't it? Oh!
He's
lost it. That were a big fish.
Oh.
That would have got him back in it, Keith, that.
Could be history in the making for Matt Hall. They say behind every successful man is a pushy lady, and there is Teresa just lending his support behind. Give him a jab in the back, come on, catch some more, but he is way out at the moment. Just under 20 kilos for Matt Hall, currently in top position, as I think we're through the halfway point of FishOMania 16.
Welcome back to FishOMania 16, where the £25,000 prize money still hangs in the balance, although that balance is tilting one way.
At the moment we have a runaway leader in Matt Hall on peg 16, but chasing him all afternoon has been Adam Richards on peg 9. He had slipped down into third place, but things might be looking up for him.
You know what's important about that fish? He's caught that on the pole. He's come off the feeder, he's gone down the side, and he's caught a quality barbel straight away.
First choke when he went down, and the second choke I saw the fish move out to the side, and he's just fed it again. So
good
the
fish,
anglers
Red.
are changing.
Ed Warren as well. They've really struggled in that corner, which is a real shock.
It is.
And Ed got on the method feeder.
Good fish. That is a good fish.
It's a proper carp, that one.
Yeah, 3 kilo that.
It's only a lump, it's not quite a dollop.
But a couple more of them and he's back in it.
Chris van der Vliet on the pole. See, those big carp have just started to feed, haven't they?
They're all changing tactics.
Fish, the bigger fish are just starting to have a go.
They're starting to change tactics and look for... I think what they've realised now is that, when we spoke about it earlier, that they start off with 5 methods and they're now down to 3.
Yeah.
And they're now trying to pick the ones that they know they've got to catch Matt back up.
Yeah.
Because Matt is quite a way away, but but they can catch him.
It's another one of those barbel that's grown up, Tom.
Big fish them
that's
now,
£4,
Keith. They're lovely fish, aren't they?
That's £4.
Lovely fish. You don't need many of them to get back in race, you know.
Well, it's a 3-horse race now, or 3-angler race, should we say. Way out in the lead with a 7 kilo plus lead is Matt Hall, previous winner, 2003. It's all happening down there on the high pegs. Matt on peg 16, sitting alongside him. He will be very aware of what he's got to do to keep up with Matt is Mark Tullett.
Another fish that looks like a skimmer the way it's coming, but the skimmers now £1.5, £2.
Yeah, just keep catching them and put them in your net. That's all you've got to keep doing. Don't matter what.
Well, that's a barbel.
It's like,
or a chub, is it?
It's a chub.
It's a chub, yeah. Thought it came in a bit easier than
yeah,
the barbel, yeah.
I would say that'd still be fighting. There'd been a barbel.
Tony Kerr's not going to be far out there as well, because that was a 4 kilo fish that he got. That pushes Tony up to nearly 12 kilo.
Well, FishOMania can be a life-changing experience. That's our winner last year, Mick Bolt, who set up his own business after winning the £25,000.
Hello? Yeah, okay, I'm on my way. Hi, how you doing? About time.
FishOMania's defending champion has been cleaning ovens for 18 months. After 25 years in the tackle trade, he decided to set up his own business. The move didn't just turn his life around, it helped his fishing too.
I just fancied a change. Sometimes it's time to change your life, isn't it? And it really has changed my life, because I went into qualifying for the FishOMania, to winning it, to qualifying again and see where we go from here. But yeah, it's certainly changed my life by changing my job.
Being self-employed means Mick can schedule his work around his training. A year ago he was last to qualify for FishOMania, but went on to win it, a moment he'll never forget.
Amazing feeling. It's a feeling that I'll never forget, but I wasn't even thinking about winning all the way through the match. It was just, you know, try and catch as much as you can, stay concentrated.
Mick's clients come from all walks of life, and he often has 4 or 5 ovens to clean a day. But nothing compares to the tension of match fishing.
It's harder to make a success of fishing than a business, I think. When you're fishing, you know, and you match fish, to be a successful match angler, you have to keep drawing reasonable pegs. And sometimes that doesn't happen. You know, you could go a month without drawing a good peg. And that's why it's, in a way, it seems so unfair sometimes.
Well, one client who can certainly afford Mick's services today is Barry Geeney. And Barry, you won £16,000 on FishOMania and on Mick last year.
That's right.
How did that come about?
Got back from holiday, decided to have a bet on Mick. Mick told me he was 16 to 1 to win FishOMania. Decided to have 2 bets of £500 with 2 different bookies. Don't ask me why. I guess it's Mick being my best pal. The only opportunity I'd have to sort of have a serious bet on him, and I fancy his chances.
16 grand in your pocket.
Indeed.
And Tim, you're Mick's brother. You've tried, I don't know how many times to qualify for FishOMania. Are you getting frustrated?
No, I've tried 11 times this year. I was lucky enough to get 11 tickets, to be fair, which was quite good going. No, I'm not getting frustrated. We both applied for the same 11 qualifiers, and we hoped that maybe one of us could make it through to the final. The fact Mick did on the very first round, I've been travelling all over the country on my own or with anyone else that wanted to come with me. So, but no, he's done well. I'm really pleased for him.
Mick Ball, the oven cleaner, who cleaned up last year. Adam Richards there.
Back on the feeder
Yeah,
again.
he went straight back.
And he must have got that fish straight away, because there was still a little bit of bait left in his feeder.
Yeah. What happened was, Keith, he went outside, didn't get a fish, didn't have any indications, picked it out, cast it out and went straight round.
This is peg 15. Again. Mark Tullett in second place at the moment.
He's got 1 10-pounder in his net. This one looks like it might be fouled, Tom. Oh, no, it's a barbel. The right way round.
That's a carp.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? Sure.
Do I win a bet? I've won.
Our experts in the studio arguing what kind of
that
fish
tench
it
was
is.
a crucian. Well, there's the signal for the 6th weigh-in of the afternoon. Mark Tullett's family behind him. There's his young lad, seeing how Dad's getting on. Will there be a big fish like there was last time? Ali Douglas will certainly find out.
No big fish contender in this one by the looks of it, but nonetheless a pretty healthy catch for that last half hour. Is he going to retain his second place, or well, unlikely that he's going to get in front of Matt Hall? But let's just take a look after this catch. What do you reckon, Dave?
Not enough to go past Matt certainly, but it's another good score. £3 kilos 670.
3,670. So at the moment, I think he retains that second place. He's doing pretty well. We've seen the support there from his son, from his family. So he's got everything crossed and looks like a winner takes all. But he's doing very well in second place.
We're with Ed Warren on peg 7. Okay, well, it's on the scales. Let's get in and have a look at that weight. Looks like 3 kilos. 3 kilos 250.
3 kilos 250.
There we go, and that's confirmed by the steward. And that's the latest weigh-in for Ed Warren.
Well, over here at the league leaderboard place with Matt Hall leading by just over 3.5 kilos at the moment. That gap slimmed a little bit when Mark Tullett got that big catch of £10. So let's see now what Dave's got to say on this latest weigh-in.
You're very good again. £4 kilos 200.
Wow, brilliant. Well, that does mean that the lead must have cut by, well, a kilo at least after that last weigh-in there between 15th and 16th. But this is where it all seems to be happening at this side of the league.
There's Matt Hall with another fish he's managed to catch between weighings. He's already got a start for the next weigh. And here is that leaderboard. Matt Hall streaking away, I think it's fair to say. Although Mark Tullett's still there with a chance, and Adam Richards won't give up. Rob Wootton's worth looking at as well. He's still catching a few fish. And I think for side 2 of the leaderboard, it's time now for them to maybe launch an attack on Mark Tullett's big fish.
Well, it's been a steady catching of fish during the course of the afternoon, all around the lake. Is that down on peg 11? Is that Tommy's pal?
Yeah,
big
my
Paul
big
Christie?
Mal. Yeah, he's got one there. Well done, Paul.
Fished a brilliant match, Tom, hasn't he?
Awesome performance. Awesome. Won't have a bad word spoke against him.
Matt Hall with another decent bag.
And in goes some more feed. He's obviously chopped up a lot of worms in advance. You can see every time Mark Tullett feeds, he puts worms in. You can see the scissors in action. Matt's got his worm and caster mixed, already chopped, and he just scoops his pot in. Well, that could be 3 fish an hour that he's actually saving in time there. 3 fish an hour. Is
oh, easily. It takes a long time to chop worms.
25 grand.
What kind of preparation do these guys? But obviously, we got anglers watching today, people that love fishing and go out every Saturday or Sunday afternoon or in their spare hours if they work shifts. But for those that are interested in fishing for the first time, what kind of preparation will Matt Hall have put in for today?
Sorry, Keith.
No, you carry on.
The lads at the top live, sleep, breathe it. And I mean, I can only speak of me as a competitor. I have a tackle room now where I prepare my fishing tackle. To beat these lads, to beat the lads, you've got to be on the game. And you have got to spend an hour a day in your tackle room preparing it, making hooks and rigs and your bait and everything like that. And that's what you do. And if a big competition like this, you might have spent 2 weeks. Besides coming here practicing, all they will have been thinking about from qualifying is getting themselves ready.
It's been one of the best FishOManias ever. Let's have a look back at the story so far. So far, this is the way the rostrum is looking. Silver medal will be Mark Tullett. Adam Richards would be bronze if there were 3 medals, but there's not. It's winner take all. Only one winner. £25,000 to the champion of FishOMania at the moment. For the first time ever, somebody is going to win the title twice. That is going to be Matt Hall if he can hang on to that lead of just under 8 kilos.
He's going to town on chopping those worms, that's for sure. He's doing a full portion in one go. And giving himself a round of applause as well.
I thought that was some kind of technique.
And so he'll do that. He's doing a load there in one go. Whereas we saw Mark Tullett, he'll put a few worms in the tub, chop them up, then he'll put some casters in, mix them, a bit of hemp, mix them. Matt's doing it all in one go. Now he's draining out the excess water. Put water in to take the to stop the casters from floating up. He's now mixed his casters in. There goes his hemp. And he's done
4 or 5, maybe more than that.
At least, yeah, at least.
He'll get certainly 4, 5, 6 feeds out of that because he's putting a big pot full in.
Is, yeah.
So he's doing it all in one go.
Tell it now. Mark's putting a little bit of bait in at a time.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put quite enough in. Now the scissors will come out. There'll be chop, 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 and
some venues are good, so you can actually, while you're fishing, you can actually feed.
Yeah.
But you can't on this. You've got to feed while your tackle that you're fishing with out the water. I mean, that takes ages. I mean, Matt's probably just done 6 feeds quicker than that.
Quicker.
And remember, while he's doing all this, he's not fishing.
No. You want to chuck a bomb over the line while you're doing that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You've got to be fishing.
While I was doing that, I definitely wanted to chuck feeder in or bomb over. I wouldn't be happy not having me bait in the water.
We have 3 former champions today here. Mick Bolt, 2008, who's got a bad back. Nathan Watson, who, as we heard, excluded himself last night. And Matt Hall, who won it in 2003. So of the 3 champions, he's possibly in the best shape this Saturday afternoon. Certainly at the moment, top of the leaderboard and just bagging fish consistently during the course of the afternoon. Fish after fish after fish.
We spoke about bigger uns in the margins and he's catching out. This is a proper fish, this one. You can see the length of time it's taken him to land. This is a bigger than average barbel. May even be a carp, although I think it's a barbel, the way it's zipping around.
Yeah, it looks like a barbel.
It nodded its head, yeah.
Can you hear us?
He can hear us.
We'll say what a lovely guy he was, won't we?
Top man. It's a barbel.
There is Matt Hall. Oh, well done, Matt. With the distraction of listening to Tommy and Keith in the background as well. Thumbs up.
Like we didn't tell him how good he was.
Showboating already. The hooter has gone after 6 weighs. This will be our 7th weigh-in. Let's find out what's happening down there. Andy Ford is down at Bankside.
Well, it's been pretty quiet down here, Rob. Matt, if you just bring the one solitary carp that's in Adam's keep net. He's struggling a little bit, and I think all his plans are kind of not coming off quite as well as he'd like, and that's why he's starting to fall behind. As you can see, just 1 fish for Adam. He's fishing down the edge at the moment. It's a swim that he's primed throughout the match and left alone for ages. And is hoping that the fish would be there when he went in, but unfortunately they weren't. And everything he seems to try will get 1 fish, and then nothing else. Bob, what's the weight there?
980 grams.
So there you go, just 980 grams, 1 small carp. That's not going to help him in his quest to get up that leaderboard.
Well, we just skipped past 15 there because Mark Tullett hasn't caught anything in the last half hour. So let's see what Matt Hall has to show for himself though after this last half hour. Here comes Rich with the catch. Wow. 3 fish there for the odds-on favourite. His odds are halved overnight, and my goodness, you can kind of see why. David, how are we looking for this one?
It's good again. 2 kilos, 580.
2 kilos, 580 to the good, and of course that gap now between 15th and 16th has just extended by the very fact that Mark Tullett didn't have any catch there. So that gap is, he's the runaway leader, Matt Hall, at the moment.
Matt Hall, I know, has got the earpiece in. Go on, mate, what's going through your mind?
Fish.
You've kept them coming though, Matt, haven't you? Because, you know, we felt you had a little spell where it sort of dried for a while, and then you seemed to up the feeding and they came back.
Yeah, they come past me, I think. Mark started to catch them, And I noticed he was putting, although he was not feeding as much as me, he was putting in a bit more regular. So I upped the catch rate again, and I noticed the bubbles are starting again. I think what fish passed have probably come back now because he's struggling again and I'm not. So yeah, things are going to plan. I'm fairly chipper at the minute. So.
Fishing a good match, steady match, mate. I mean, we've got one of them Manhattan charts here, and it's just almost level all the way through. You're catching, you catch it same weights all the way through. And we've just said, if you keep that going, nobody's going to beat you, mate.
Well, this peg can be really good down the edge. You know, I heard you on about that to Neil about the edge, and I'm hoping. I keep looking down if tail patterns and that in the water, and I haven't seen any yet. But the minute I do, I'll be there. I've had a couple of quick looks, and they're not there as yet. But I can't spend too much time because I'm catching all right.
You don't need to, do you, mate? You don't need to. Just keep free fishing your net and you'll win it. That's all you've got to do.
£4 barbel again, so yeah.
Matt, thanks very much for joining us. Can you imagine any other sports where the leader of a major competition has a chat with the experts in the studio?
Maybe when they're about to take a penalty or something like that, eh, Rob? And here's the latest leaderboard. Obviously, it's not affected Matt Hall one little bit. Dave Swain still creeping up there. Come on, Swainy, my money's on you. And not really much change on the second part of the leaderboard.
You remember we've had 16 heats around the country, 130 anglers at each of those, 2,080 competitors. But at the moment, the one man who is shining above all is Matt Hall.
Welcome back to FishOMania 16, where it's been another fabulous afternoon of fishing.
At the moment, the £25,000 winner takes all is going to Matt Hall from Nottingham, but he may have a competitor. Second place Mark Tullett had a barren last half an hour. In the last few moments, Mark has hooked a fish, trying to bring it in. He has had the biggest fish of the afternoon so far, which could net him £2,500. Our expert Keith is going to tell us what he thinks this is going to weigh roughly before it gets out of the water.
Well, it looks like a barbel. It's slightly bigger than the average barbel. Mark's been landing his barbel quite quickly.
It looks like a 2 kilo barbel, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It's angry, Tom, isn't it?
It don't want to go in that net, does it?
No.
I mean, there's one thing you can never. With barbel, they are the best fighters in the world. Yeah. They give every ounce of energy.
Just don't give up.
Just never give up, even in the net.
One thing Dave said, the weather's gone cool and it's affected the fishing. It's probably positively affected the barbel because the oxygen levels will be higher. The aerator's been on for about 8 weeks, which is important. That looks like it might be snagged in the tail or somewhere close to Tom, doesn't it?
No, I'm not so sure. Not so sure. We'll soon see. It's a good fish.
He's got to make it. Time is not on his side. Just under an hour and a quarter left until our final weigh.
There we go. Well done.
If anybody's going to catch Matt Hall, it's going to be Mark Tullett on peg 15.
It is hooked in the mouth as well.
Yeah, beautiful
fish. Good 2 kilos. Yeah, good 2 kilos.
They're top fish. They are. They are top fish.
FishOMania 16 has got better every year. Standards are excellent, so much so that nobody has ever won the title twice. Matt Hall has won it once back in 2003. He's also suffered disappointment.
After FishOMania last year, a couple of months, it really took me a long while to get sort of my head around things again, and a lot of people were passing me by and saying, "Oh, I watched you on the telly, and you didn't catch anything." He said, "Yeah, don't you think I know that?" And it sort of dented my pride somewhat. But this year, I'll put it right. I know I will.
This is a massive motivation for you, looking to right last year's wrong.
Exactly, yeah. I'm also keen to be the first person to win twice. That's always been my goal since I won it in 2003. It's always been my goal. I want to win it twice. It's a big thing to me, and I've got an opportunity, I would say.
What are your memories of 2003?
What a brilliant day. It was. I just came from nowhere really, qualified in second place in them days. You could qualify in second place. I came into the match not really being the best carp angler on the bank, but it's something that I've picked up quite quickly. And on the day I was very surprised to win, and especially beating an England international as good as Darren Cox. It was a really, really good day for me. It was a turning point in my fishing career, without a doubt.
I take it you can remember what you did with the cash that time round?
Just go and ask my wife. Yeah, no. I treated it like a windfall. I didn't worry too much about it. I just thought, let's spend it and have a few niceties and a few things that you don't normally get, and probably that's what I'll do this time if I win. But really, the money doesn't mean a big deal to me this time. It's definitely the first person to win twice.
If you'd have given every angler here the choice of putting his basket down last night between 4 and 9 or on 16, not one of them would have picked 16.
No.
I think there's been some anglers haven't necessarily done fish to the best of their abilities. I think there's too many of them have probably gambled on things that they thought might work rather than things that they know would work.
Some of the guys maybe come here and think they can reinvent the wheel. It's a case really of doing what you know and knowing what you do.
It's right that, because when you go practice for any event, you practice the match conditions, the match methods. There are certain methods that work in matches, and this is a place that everyone knows where the fish are and where they feed, and that's what you do. You practice them to get them right, to get into choice. You don't try things new. You don't go on and keep putting maggots in day after day after day after day, because it's not going to work in the matches. The anglers know. You just practice the match methods, and that's what you do.
We are now into the final hour of FishOMania 16. Will it be the longest hour of Matt Hall's life? He can't wait for that clock in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen to tick away. Every second, well, it's probably ticking a little bit slower than his heart, actually. He's laid back. Yeah, and he knows it as well. He's fishing, his catching has been consistent all afternoon. His heart rate has hardly gone above 60. So laid back, he's almost asleep. Can't imagine anybody falling asleep at such an exciting fishing match this afternoon.
Well, Mark Tullett is off on his holidays tomorrow to Cornwall. He was hoping to be taking £25,000 spending money. As it stands, he's going to be taking £2,500. He's got the big fish prize at the moment. What he was saying earlier, just as Perry brings out this catch from the last half hour, is that the carp are round about his peg at the moment, which is not proving to be quite as easy, like it was easy in the first place, but it's having the barbel there. So this seems to be slowing him up a bit. This doesn't look too bad a size, in fact, David.
Nice fish, nice barbel, but we'll see. In they go. 1 kilo 500.
1,500, so still very much in second place. I think there was about 12 kilos, or 11 or 12 kilos between them, so that's obviously tightening up as time goes on, but nonetheless a pretty impressive second place there for Mark. Let's now head over. We're going to have to do a little bit of acrobatics, but let's head over to 16, to peg 16 here. Poor cameraman's been left behind. Not surprised. Okay, let's just take a look now at peg 16, where Matt Hall is the absolute runaway leader. We're just going to get Rich now to bring out the fish. Rich, do you want to pop them out for us over here? Here comes Dave, who'll weigh them in for us. Matt is going to have some night tonight, let me tell you. He's got lots of support from his friends and family around here, his wife and 2 children, all hoping for nice presents. He's smiling at me saying, don't encourage them. Right, let's take a look at what he's got in this one. 4, and one little baby one in there, but 3 barbel and a roach. Okay, let's see what they come in at, Dave.
Good score again, good score again. 3 kilos and 40.
3 kilos and 40, so that absolutely puts him out in front, doesn't it? By my reckoning, he's still maybe 11 or 12 out in front, looking very, very promising. We did see a very dramatic finish to FishOMania last year. It was the last hour and a half that it all changed, but it would take something extremely dramatic to change Matt Hall's very impressive lead at the moment.
And he's getting even better and better. I am aware that he can hear everything we're saying, and I did get my wrist slapped last year for suggesting to Mick Bull as he was catching that it may get away. So I'm trying desperately not to put Matt off. Give him words of encouragement. Oh, it's in the bag. Well done.
Yeah, it was very close last year as well, because if you remember, Chris Elliott and Andy Neal were both catching well. Chris Elliott had a brilliant last half hour and caught Andy Neal. If you remember, went into second.
I don't think he really needs a lot of encouragement, because I think he's got it all under
There's
control.
no putting that guy off, is there?
Speaking of the devil, there's...
Peg 5, there is Mick Bull, last year's champion, 2008. I think it's safe to say that he's not going to be winning back-to-back FishOManias, though you never know. It could be leaping up the leaderboard with that fish. He's got a determined look on his face.
Well, he might be determined, but he's still in 8th place. Matt Hall racing away at the top. Andy Power has leapfrogged a few anglers there from the second page of the leaderboard. He's now into 5th place, and he's replaced Ed Warren, who drops down into 9th.
Well, it's called FishOMania. It's a fishing festival here in Staffordshire. It goes on for a couple of days. The FishOMania on the main lake is not the only thing that's been happening this afternoon.
As well as the main event, there have been ladies and boys competitions taking place here today. In the ladies, it boiled down to a straight fight between 18-year-old Kaylee Smith of Leeds and Doncaster's Sandra Scottthorne.
It's going quite well so far. Lost a couple, but got another one on at the moment. They're coming not as fast as what they were at the beginning, but they're still coming quite regular.
Sandra, how's it going?
Not too bad. I think I've got about 10 barbel at the moment. And that's in the first hour, so things aren't too bad.
There's also a boys' competition taking place here today. £500 for the winner. Behind me, two of the competitors, Harry and George Mottram, who've made it through to the final. And also, in the distance there, 10-year-old Tom Williams.
I've had 2 little perch and a little skimmer. So.
Is that going to be enough for you, do you think?
No, but I'm getting these nice bites, so hopefully it will pick up a bit.
Well, the clear winner in the ladies' competition is Sandra Scottthorne from Doncaster. Sandra, congratulations on a terrific victory.
Thank you very much.
A large winning margin as well. What was the key difference for you today?
I think we've both us three here at this end, 1, 2 and 3, have drawn where the fish are, which is a little unfair for the rest of the field, but I've just made the most of it.
The boys' competition was won by Warrington's Jack Swindells. He celebrated in customary fashion.
Brilliant.
Well, it's a fantastic family event here at Cudmore. This is confirmation of Sandra Scottthorne winning today, 26.02 kilos. We've got Tommy Pickering in the studio. The reigning champion of the ladies' event is his daughter Emma Pickering, who sadly finished only in 3rd place today in another keenly contested event. They take home £1,000, taking home £500 of pocket money this afternoon. Our juniors in their competition, some potential FishOMania finalists of the future, who knows. Congratulations to Jack Swindells on peg 7, just nicking it ahead of Joe Cartwright in a fantastic match between the two wannabes. Pete Goodwin is one of our rookies, one of the minnows, if you like, in FishOMania 16. He's bottom of the leaderboard at the moment. I know that he's going to be loving every minute. He's with Alex Wilkinson.
And that pretty much sums Pete up. He was here, he said to just have a good time, but he's bottom of the leaderboard. And Pete, if I can just interrupt you, have you had a good time?
Definitely. Yeah, it's been a fantastic experience. I mean, as we know in this area, the fish haven't been there, so, you know, I've done everything I can. I fish positive and just hasn't happened, but I've enjoyed my day. Really good. I'll be in again next year.
And you've been looking forward to it for such a long time. Your family are behind you. They've all got T-shirts on with your name on and stuff. It's been a really big day for you, your family and your neighbours.
Yeah, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. The big picture is it's just a great competition. I'm just proud to be involved. You know, I'd love to win it, obviously, but I'm just glad to be here.
OK, Pete, the family are over there in their green T-shirts. And having a very good time indeed.
It's the ultimate angling event, FishOMania 16. 4 potential winners as we're deep into the final hour. 2 weigh-ins left here in Staffordshire. At the moment, Matt Hall has a very healthy 12-kilo lead from Mark Tullett in second place, who's backed the biggest fish of the day. That earns him £2,500. It's a round in his local tonight, no doubt. Third place, Adam Richards, one of our younger competitors, who's just ahead of Rob Wooden, another one of our first-timers in the finals of FishOMania.
We've had the hooter. Let's get down to Lakeside to see how Adam Richards has fared in the last half hour.
Well, you can see I'm over on peg 9 with Adam Richards. Matt, if you just bring that one out. But Adam's actually playing a fish as we're going to weigh these ones. It seems that a couple of barbel have managed to sneak out of Matt Hall's peg and have managed to find their way around here. A couple of quite nice fish in there, actually, and it looks like he's got another barbel on at the moment. He's just sticking his landing net under it. But let's just have a look and see what we've got in here. Bob, what we got?
1 kilo 760.
1 kilo 760. I mean, clearly that's not going to get Adam to catch up with Matt Hall, but he's doing his job, and as you can see, he's just started to get a few bites on his barbel line. It's been very frustrating for him, though.
Let's just find out now. It's getting very exciting down here Lakeside. Mark Tullett, as we know, sitting second place. We'll just get Perry to bring in his catch. As we know, he's already, as it stands, bagged himself the big fish prize of £2,500. There was about 12 kilos of a difference between first and second place, so between Mark and Matt at the last weigh-in. So let's just have a wee look at it's going to take a miracle, let's be honest, for him to overtake and to become the leader on the leaderboard. But nonetheless, we'll see what this one comes in at.
£2 kilos and 90.
290. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? It's a very precise science, this, as you can imagine, with these fish moving around. It's very difficult to find out just exactly what it is. Let's just run along here to peg 16, shall we? Have a look at how our leader, Matt Hall, is getting on. He's super ultra confident of winning this, as you might well imagine, and why not, in fact. He's miles ahead. Here we are. Rich will just bring the catch over to Dave, patiently waiting at the scales again to do the second final weigh-in, I should say, penultimate weigh-in. We think he should just give it up. There's hardly any fish left in there. 2 barbel and a small carp. Okay, let's see what that comes in at.
£2 kilos 880. 2880.
Well, by my reckoning, that means that the leaderboard is still separated by around about 12 kilos. You would think that with only half an hour left remaining on FishOMania 2009, it would be pretty impossible to close that gap. But you just never know. Stranger things have happened. So it's all to be seen in the next 30 minutes here on FishOMania 2009.
Can you hear me, Matt?
Yes, mate.
I've got a question for you because a little bird called Andy Ford told me you said to him when you won your qualifier at Lindholm, and this is a direct quote, if I win it this time, I'll give up fishing because there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, keep that quiet, will you?
I've only told you. You're the only one that's heard that.
You've just told 6 million people. Yeah.
Is that right? This is your final performance? What a way to go out.
I bet I said it very tongue-in-cheek, like, to be fair, joking aside, it is what I want to achieve in fishing, to be the first person to win twice. And if I do it today, then I'll have achieved what I want to do. I probably won't make the England squad ever or anything like that, which would be an honour and the pinnacle, but I'm not going to do that. So the next thing, or the best thing anyway, in my eyes, is FishOMania, you know.
That's good of you to say so. Thanks for talking to us, Matt. Maybe that's why he's such a happy bunny, sitting way clear at the top of the leaderboard, in line for £25,000.
On the lake, it's been a busy afternoon. Matt Hall has been catching most of the fish, but all the way around the lake, it has been pretty consistent. I think that's peg 10, and that's the youngest competitor, 19-year-old Tony Kern.
Fished a good match today, Tony. Darren Davis will be proud of him. I'm telling you, his dad will be proud of him too. Top young angler.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, he look. We can see him from here, and you can see he's not done anything wrong. He's just been probably wrong end at lake, as it's turned out, which we didn't know before. We'd no idea.
No, that's right. Ed Warren's done well the second half of the match as well. I mean, he's gone back on the feeder, which is really strange. Everybody thought that'd be 6 or 7 metres on the pole, they'd be bagging up round there, and it's not happened. And it's gone back on the feeder, and he's not caught barbel.
The strangest thing for me is nobody's caught in the side. I'm really surprised about that. I expected somebody to make a challenge in the last hour down the side, and anglers have kept feeding it and they've kept picking it up, but nobody's really caught anything.
You know what it could be, Tom? We had so much rain yesterday, and it was so fierce, that rain.
Maybe.
And it's dropped the water temperature, and it'll run into the edge, won't it, off the bank. Steeply sloping banks. It could just be they've been washed out by the rain.
And the anglers who were fishing expected that as well, because the way they've been attacking it and feeding it down the side, they've all been doing it. And even Matt, even where he is, where all the fish are, he's had one go and caught one, but he couldn't catch two.
No, that's right.
Which tells you that the fish just haven't come inside.
Yeah, as Mark said, that one's hooked in the anal fin, which is, you know, it's always a difficult place to get off from. And I'll reiterate,
there you go.
No angler wants to hook a fish in the wrong place. We want to hook him in the mouth. It's an accident to hook them there, and that's because they count because it is an accident. But it's the worst place to hook them, just for landing fish even.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, float goes under, you just lift up and strike. You're not doing it intentionally.
Well, sometimes they'll even hook themselves.
That's right, they do, yeah.
All comes to he who waits. Matt had to wait last year, won it in 2003. When he won it in 2003, it went to the last minute against Darren Cox. Right down to the last 11.5 minutes. While he just composes his thoughts, we'll let you compose your thoughts and have a slight break. We're into the closing minutes of FishOMania 16. Nobody has ever won FishOMania twice. Matt Hall won it in 2003. He's set to win it in 2009. He knows what it's like to taste that champagne, to take home the trophy, and to have one of the greatest honours in match fishing. The waters are calm around Matt Hall. They have been all afternoon. He's been prolific, putting the fish in the back of the net. We know that he can hear every word that we're saying.
That's heroic on his part, you know, because it's very, very difficult. I don't mind a little bit of interference. It helps my concentration if I've got something else going on. I'm an avid listener or a radio or music listener while I'm fishing, and it stops me listening to anybody else. I'll talk to them and interrupt them, but the last time, you remember, he won the fish in the last couple. He won the match in the last couple of minutes. Overtook Darren Cox with a decent carp. This time, all the others are playing catch up.
3 minutes to go before the champagne is cracked on the podium. Well, Mark Tullett, peg 15, again can hear every word we say, is some way behind Matt Hall. He's got a lead, Matt, of 12.74 kilos with one weigh-in to go. I dare say that barring jaws leaping out of the lake here into Mark's net, Matt is going to be crowned the 2009 champion in a few moments' time. We're just saying goodbye to you, Matt. We're taking the earpiece off you just as a precaution. It's worth an awful lot of money. You know why, don't you, as well? Because you're going to go in that water. Now we can't have a word to say. We can say what we think about him.
We can talk about him now.
He's gone deaf all of a sudden. Yeah, that pristine white hat and beautiful white FishOMania shirt is going to get a murky colour in a few moments' time when he lands in the lake here at Cudmore.
You can see him just breathing a bit deeply there now. He's breathing a bit deep. It's an emotional moment, I tell you.
Yeah,
Well, his heart hasn't
absolutely.
missed a beat all afternoon.
No, no. I mean, from arriving yesterday, it's been the first moment I saw him yesterday. He just looked professional. He looked organised, and he looked cool and calm. And he's proven it with his fishing. And he's been on that end with all the spectators and everybody talking. You can hear them talking, and he's just handled himself from the word go absolutely perfect. He deserves to win it. Full credit to him. I'm really chuffed
that
for
watch
him.
is
Really.
waterproof that he's wearing on his left hand as well. You may want to take that off and anything else that he doesn't want to ruin.
It's all right, he's got another box of crackers indoors.
Well, a minute and a half to go. It has been a perfect afternoon, the perfect day for Matt Hall. He did suggest last night that somebody could take the FishOMania title for the second time. There were only 3 men in the field who'd won it before. Mick Bull, who won it last year. Nathan Watson, who won it back in 2002. Mick's got a bad back. Nathan wasn't too confident in his preparations today. Matt, well, disappeared before midnight last night like Cinderella. Was up this morning. Prepared perfectly. Has the family behind him. And look at the crowd as well that have come out to watch
Massive
fishing this
crowd.
afternoon. Thousands watching back at home as well. And as you say, there's money. There's going to be a lovely trophy to take home. But Keith, it's all about the honour, isn't it?
Absolutely, there's no doubt about it. He will treasure that trophy above everything else.
This moment now, the next 5 minutes, I mean, the first man to win it twice is history. And he'll have this little bit cut out forever.
I hope he knows how to stick it onto a DVD, because this is a historical moment for Matt Hall. Tick after tock after tick after tock. Everything comes to he who waits, and Matt Hall is the 2009 FishOMania champion. It's not confirmed yet, but I think we're pretty safe to say that he's going to become the first man to win FishOMania twice.
Time to get down to Lakeside for the final weigh-in. First to go, peg 14.
Rob, let's get your final catch of the day out. Very, very quick word from you. You finished third in your first FishOMania. How do you feel?
Well, obviously not as good as finishing first, but hopefully I'll try again next year and see what we can do.
You've been brilliant. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks very much. Let's go and find out what it comes in at then. Final one from Rob, our third place finisher. Well, it certainly was before the penultimate weigh-in. Let's just see what this one comes in at then, David.
6 kilos and 20.
Wow, that is pretty impressive. That could actually change second and third places. So let me just do a quick run across here. Dave, I'm chasing you. Come on, Dave. We've got to get to what was our second place finisher here in Mark Tullett. Whether or not he still will be remains to be seen. Let's just see. All right, Mark, let's see what you've got. I wonder, is this going to change second and third placings? Because there were only a couple of kilos in between them, so let's just see what this one comes in at.
One kilo, 610.
Let's just try and get some confirmation of that, but I suspect that could well change second and third placings. But in the meantime, we're going to have to leg it over here to the winning position. This is what it's all about. Winner takes all. £25,000 is going to go to Matt Hall. Let's just see this final catch of the day for him in the final weigh-in. It's been an incredible afternoon. Matt has disappeared. I think the tension's been too much. We'll need to get him back in just a second. He's gone for a little comfort break. It's all been too much. I'm not surprised. What's that coming at, David?
2 kilos, 730.
Absolutely incredible afternoon here at FishOMania. Matt Hall is the runaway leader. We're going to cross back to the studio now to hear from Rob, but make no mistake, we'll be hearing from Matt and probably seeing him splishing about in that lake very soon.
Well, congratulations. Well done down there to Matt Hall. He's going to be £25,000. Richard, Tommy and Keith, sum it up for us.
Well, he had a plan. He thought he knew where the fish lived. He thought he knew he could lure them out. And everything he did worked to perfection. He's not made a slip. He's been positive, and it's worked.
Has there ever been a more masterful FishOMania final performance?
I don't think so. I really don't think so. I mean, we've had some great finals, and we've had some great anglers win finals. But he was the most professional. He were in control of everything. He knew what were happening, and he would just lead the whole way through. And he just awesome performance. It's a pleasure to be here and watch it, to be honest with you.
Bang on, Tommy. And there's confirmation from the leaderboard. And we must mention that Mark Tullett did make the Big Fish prize with that fantastic common carp. Well, there's only one thing left for Matt Hall to do now. He's entertained us all day, and now for the coup de grace.
Is he going? He looks reticent just now. But he's going. You're going in, no matter what. You might as well do it yourself.
Just do it, mate.
Well, he's made a splash of that in there. It is a tradition. I don't know if it was wise to do that before he goes up to take the check and the trophy.
Brilliant. He'll come out with a Bible, knowing Matt.
Yeah, one in each pocket.
Yeah.
One under his hat.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'll be one under each arm.
Here in Staffordshire, it's been a historical afternoon. Matt Hall is an author by trade. Well, he could be penning his first book on how I became the first man ever to win FishOMania twice. He's been a lean, mean fishing machine.